السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. As we are talking about القواعد الفقهية الكلية الكبرى, the main maximum that can count as an operating system for the Islamic jurisprudence. And one of those major ones called الضرر يزال. Have you heard about this rule? الضرر يزال. Harm must be removed. This is one of the major principles that was extracted from many ayat and many hadiths. To the nature of Islamic teaching that wherever there's a harm, that be removed. In fact, you cannot find absolute harm or absolute benefit. It's the weight between harm and benefit. But when the harm exceeds the benefit, then in that case it should not be, that matter should not be considered from the aspect of Sharia that harm must be removed. Ali, that's fine. Yeah. And some of the ayat that based on this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَمَنُ اضْطُرَّ غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِلَّا مَا اضْطُرِرْتُمْ إِلَيْهِ. So in the case of darura, where a time of necessity, where there's no other way except this way, then it's fine, it has to be removed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He spoke about one of the stages of al-khamr being prohibited, Allah said, وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. The ithmuhuma, the harm that comes out of it, exceeds the benefit. And is there any benefit for drinking alcohol, for example? Yes, there is. That could be as a matter of a trade, so there's a money could comes out of it, and could make the coward person courageous. He wants to fight everybody. And make the stingy as generous. When he, in that stage, he want to pay for the drink for everyone. But in time, maybe he's stingy. So there are kind of a benefit, could be, but the harm way worse than the benefit. So in this case, we said what? الضرر يزال. The harm must be removed. In the hadith, the Prophet said, لا ضرر ولا ضرار. Whenever there is harm, we should find way to remove it. I don't want to go into more details about that, from where that was extracted. But it's clear that's one of the high principles that in Islamic jurisprudence, that whenever there's a harm and that harm exceeds the benefit, then we should say, that matter that's not considered as an Islamic, and that has to be removed. And based on that, we can consider many things that's not right to consume, not right to deal with. Somebody will talk to me as before Salah I was talking about some of the matters, like smoking, smoking weeds or just regular smoking. One of the main evidence for the scholars why they prohibited that, because there's harm attached to it. I'll tell you something. Some people they might have a kind of surgery, okay? And the doctor would tell them, you should not drink water in 24 hours. Drinking water in that period that might cause harm to you, it's haram. If a doctor for sure, he told you, you have a certain surgery, and in that surgery, in certain hours, you should not drink water. You should not drink water. Because that might cause major harm for you. Drinking water at the time is haram. Let alone something that's clear, that's harmful for all people and all the time. So based on this rule, we understand many of aspects of Sharia. Again, what's that rule called? Ad-dararu yuzal. Especially at the time of necessity. Sometimes there is a special rules in the special cases. Okay? للضرورة أحكام. For time of necessity, there are specific rules. And why is that? الضرر يزال. In some cases, there are two harms. But there's one of them weight the other. There's one of them worse than the other. So what do you do in this case? ارتكاب أخف الضررين. That's another rule. There are two harms, and you cannot avoid any one of them. So the least one that would be allowed for you at that time. So this rule again, it's one of the major rules, and understanding that rule, it gives you insight to understand the major point that behind many of the ahkam, especially in our society. And we have to understand that الضرورة يعني لها اعتبار ولكن تقدر بقدرها وتخص صاحبها. Sometimes this rule being misused. When somebody says, oh, I'm in time of necessity. But we have to understand that there are, yes, time of necessity, that is for a specific time, for a specific, person. Does not mean that is applied for all cases and all times. And that's why we should not jump and use this rule for all cases. But again, understanding this rule gives you general, picture about the fiqh al-Islami. As in Islam, that we want you not to have a burden that's beyond your capacity. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it clear, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها والأمر إذا ضاق اتسع وإذا اتسع ضاق. Sometimes it's hard for you to practice certain rules. Yes? Because of situations. So we comes here, we say, الضرر يزال. If that really cause harm to you, in this case, there are specific rules for that person. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the best of understanding. اللهم علمنا وجهلنا وذكرنا ما نسينا وفقهنا في ديننا واجعلنا من عبادك الصالحين. آمين.